So this is the new temporary pacemaker.
Yes, you're looking at Medtronic's newest dual-chamber temporary pacemaker, the Model 5388.
It looks easy to use. I really like the way it feels.
It's what many customers have been asking for, an easy, effective way to deliver dual-chamber pacing. You can provide pacing support in both the atrium and the ventricle safely with just these 3 dials.
Great. Can I turn it on?
Sure.
I see it's all set up to pace at 80 beats per minute and 10 milliamps in both the atrium and the ventricle. What are the flashing lights for?
They indicate when the device paces and senses. Notice there are lights for the atrium and lights for the ventricle.
What does this pace and sense mean?
These indicators show how the device is set up. The A and V under pace shows the device is set up to pace in both the atrium and the ventricle. The A and V under sense shows the device is set up to sense in both the atrium and ventricle. Remember I said you could deliver dual-chamber pacing with just 3 dials?
Yes, the dials change the rate and the atrial and ventricular outputs.
Let's change the rate first. Simply turn the top dial to the desired setting. To increase the rate, turn the dial clockwise. Notice that at rates over 120 beats per minute, the bar gets bigger.
That's a nice feature. I can see at a glance when the rate is in the high range, and it goes up to 200 beats per minute. That would be very useful with a pediatric patient.
Yes. Now, to decrease the rate, turn the dial counterclockwise.
I do like how easy it is to read the numbers. They're large and clear. And I also like how the bar shows me where my setting is relative to the total range. This next dial is for setting atrial output?
Yes, and the third one is for setting ventricular output. Try it. See what happens to the output display when you select a value of 20 milliamps or more to indicate high ventricular output?
This bar gets bigger too. So far you've shown me how the device functions as a dual-chamber pacemaker. Can I use it to pace a single chamber?
Yes. To pace in the atrium only, turn off the ventricular output. To pace in the ventricle only, turn off the atrial output. Notice that the setup indicators show the device is now set up to pace and sense in the ventricle only.
I see by this flashing light the device is just pacing the ventricle.
That's right.
So the 5388 can actually provide single as well as dual chamber support with just 3 dials.
That's right. It really is flexible and simple to use.
Okay, now that I've changed the rate and outputs, is there a way to lock them in so they don't get changed accidentally?
Yes. The device will automatically lock in the selected settings 60 seconds after the last adjustment is made. Or, to lock in the settings at any time, just press this button with the key on it.
I see a lock appears in the upper corner of the screen. That must mean the device is locked.
That's right. Now, try turning one of these 3 dials.
Another lock appears in the center of the screen, and there's a key flashing next to it.
Yes. It flashes to indicate you must press the key symbol to unlock the device.
Oh, I see. That's what it says on the lower screen. How can I unlock the device in a critical situation where time is of the essence? For instance, loss of capture.
You can unlock the device by pressing the emergency button. Pressing emergency causes the device to immediately begin delivering high-output, asynchronous dual-chamber pacing.
The device is now pacing both chambers at the maximum output settings and the same rate.
Emergency is the one 5388 function you can activate anytime, whether the device is on, off, or locked.
So, if the device is off and I press emergency, what are the settings?
Both the atrium and the ventricle are paced asynchronously at the maximum outputs at a rate of 80 beats per minute.
Great. But could I adjust the rate or output if I needed to?
Yes, just as we did before.
So, pressing emergency really is a convenient way to quickly select asynchronous dual-chamber pacing.
Yes.
I like what I've seen so far. Now, how do I turn the device off?
Just press the off key.
Okay. I see a message appearing on the lower screen.
Yes. The first time you press off, you get this message, which prompts you to press off again to shut the pacemaker down. Pressing off twice reduces the chance of turning the device off inadvertently.
Done. Now, tell me, how do I set up the device for a patient?
First, we suggest you start out with a new battery. Replacement is simple. Just press this button and the battery drawer opens.
That was easy. Are there any special battery requirements?
Just make sure you use either a new 9-volt alkaline or lithium battery.
Does it matter which way I put it in?
No, the battery will work either way, and it will last about 7 days.
Will the device warn me when the battery's running low?
Yes, a low battery symbol appears in the upper left corner of the screen. The device will continue to pace for up to 24 hours after the symbol appears. Notice the 5388 has these fold-out brackets on the back to give you the flexibility to hang it from an IV stand or attach it to linen or the patient's clothing.
I like that. Now, what about cable connection?
It's simple, quick, and easy. Notice there are no exposed pins or contacts. The patient cable connects directly to the 5388's port.
What if I don't have a patient cable?
In the absence of a patient cable, the 5388 will allow you to connect a temporary transvenous lead or heart wire directly to the device if you need to. The connections are right here under the plugs.
That's something new.
Yes, the plugs are designed to keep moisture out of the connector ports when not in use. To connect a lead directly to the device, just insert it into the correct port. A for atrium, V for ventricle. Remember, this is a temporary connection only, and the leads are not secured in the device as they are with the patient cable.
That makes sense. Now that the patient's connected to the device, how can I check for intrinsic activity?
That's what pause is for. It allows you to suspend pacing and sensing for up to 10 seconds. Just press and hold the pause button.
I see. The message says that pacing and sensing are suspended.
Exactly.
We've been talking about all the things we can do with just 3 dials. Now, can you show me what the 4th dial does?
The 4th dial, when used with the menu button, lets you adjust other pacing parameters. Pressing Menu activates the lower screen. There are 4 menus. The first menu shows the parameters that are most often changed.
How do I move to the next menu?
Pressing Menu again advances you to the next menu.
I get it. The tabs on the bottom tell me which menu I'm on.
That's right. We're now on Menu 2. This menu contains the parameters that change when the rate is changed. Menu 3 is for rapid atrial pacing. And the last menu, Menu M, is for changing the mode.
You know, there certainly are times when I need to adjust sensitivity settings. How would I do that?
First, you need to go back to Menu 1. Pressing the Select button allows you to choose the parameter you want to adjust.
Oh, I see.
Let's change ventricular sensitivity. Changing the setting is just a matter of turning the dial.
Like we did before with rate and output.
Yes. Notice if you turn the dial all the way to the left, ventricular sensitivity is turned off, and the device paces asynchronously in that chamber. The setup indicators now show sensing only in the atrium. Let's move on to Menu 2. This menu shows the parameters which change with different rate settings. Medtronic designed the 5388 so that any change in the rate automatically adjusts the AV interval, upper rate, and PVARP. Adjust the rate and see what happens.
I see how this works. All I have to do is change the rate and the device will automatically adjust all the other parameters for me. This makes dual chamber pacing very easy. What if I want a different value, say for the AV interval?
You can manually adjust that parameter. Just press Select to highlight AV interval and turn the dial to the desired setting.
So, with the 5388, I can either fine-tune a therapy or let the device do it automatically.
Absolutely.
One thing I noticed, AV interval appears on both Menu 1 and Menu 2. What's the thinking behind that?
The idea is to be able to handle AV interval quickly on Menu 1 or with the other rate-based parameters on Menu 2.
I see. Tell me, is it possible to just pick a pacing mode and have the device deliver that therapy without having to make any other adjustments?
Yes. The fourth menu, Menu M, lets you select any one of 4 pacing modes by turning the dial: DDD, DVI, DOO, or VVI.
So, I press Select to activate a mode.
That's right. Now let's go back to Menu 1.
Can you tell me what this is for?
Atrial tracking? Well, with atrial tracking on, ventricular pacing will follow or track the intrinsic atrial rate. With atrial tracking off, the ventricle will always pace at the selected rate, no matter how fast the atrium beats.
So, I would turn atrial tracking off for patients who need dual chamber pacing, but who have intermittent atrial arrhythmias.
Yes.
Is there any way to use the 5388 to treat episodes of atrial flutter?
Yes. Let's look at Menu 3. It's the menu for rapid atrial pacing. The 5388 can deliver a burst of rapid atrial pacing, anywhere from 80 to 800 beats per minute.
How does it work?
You just set the appropriate rate and then press and hold the Select button. You can deliver rapid atrial pacing no matter what mode the 5388 happens to be in at the moment, even if it's in a non-atrial pacing mode.
Can I try it?
Go ahead. Notice that as long as the Select button is depressed, the 5388 will deliver rapid atrial pacing. The flashing lights and setup indicators show that you are delivering asynchronous burst pacing in the atrium. You can also readjust the burst rate during delivery with the dial.
That was easy. How do I exit this function?
You can either press Menu, or the device will exit this menu automatically after 5 minutes if there has been no input during that period. We've now seen all the menus and learned how they can help you to fine-tune a therapy. Don't forget that you can always deliver dual chamber pacing quickly using just the top 3 dials.
I appreciate your showing me Medtronic's new dual-chamber temporary pacemaker. You've certainly done an impressive job of incorporating flexibility and innovation in a device that's so easy to operate.
Now that you've seen how easy the new Medtronic 5388 is to use, test your knowledge of this temporary pacemaker's basic functions. See how many of these 6 questions you can answer. Question number 1. How can you quickly deliver dual-chamber, high-output asynchronous pacing with the 5388? A. Press the On button. B. Press the Emergency button. Or C. Select DDD under Menu M. The correct answer is B. Press the Emergency button. Question 2. How do you manually lock in the selected settings? A. Press the Pause button. B. Select Auto under Menu 2. Or C. Press the Lock button. If you said C, press the Lock button, you answered correctly. Question 3. How do you make the 5388 pace only in the ventricle? A. Turn off atrial output. B. Turn off atrial sensitivity. Or C. Press the Emergency button. A. Turn off atrial output is the correct answer. Question 4. True or false? The upper rate, PVARP, and AV interval are automatically set when the rate is adjusted. This statement is true. Question 5. Approximately how long will the 5388 continue to pace after the low battery symbol appears? A. 15 minutes. B. 24 hours. Or C. 1 hour. The correct answer is B, 24 hours. The sixth and final question in our quiz. Where is the rapid atrial pacing function located? A, menu 1. B, menu 2. C, menu 3. Or D, menu M. C, menu 3 is the right answer. If you missed any of these questions, you may wish to rewind and review the video, or contact your local Medtronic pacing representative. He or she will be more than happy to answer your questions about the 5388 or any of the other devices in Medtronic's complete line of temporary pacemakers. Thanks for watching, and thank you for choosing Medtronic.